All right, Amos, with the schools being closed for an extra month, what does this mean for Kenya's public education system?
This is unprecedented. It has never happened in the history of time that schools have closed all over the world. 1.5 billion children out of school. That is pretty to a large extent. Now, the effects are felt globally, the effects are felt locally, the effects are at the household level. Everyone is basically feeling the effect of schools closing. Because the way we brought up our children is to believe that schooling has to start at age 3 or age 4 or age 5 to some age 6. And this has to live with them for another 15, 16 years, 17 years, in some cases 18 years. So this was not even expected. So
all right. Now,
with us for some short term, in the medium term, and in the long term.
Now, just to zero in on the e-learning, yes, we have the tablets and the laptops that were supposed to better the e-learning. Is this program really complementing the education system currently, especially due to the pandemic and the fact that we're seeing schools being closed?
No, the digital learning program that was conceptualized in 2013 is not optimal and therefore is incapable of complementing what government thought of. Because according to the plan in 2013, we should have been injecting 1 million laptops or tablets or digital devices in the school system every year. This has not happened. So you've had cases of wastage, you've had cases of inefficiencies. So at the end of the day, very few families or very few children have got access to these laptops. We have 15 million children in the school system as we speak now. So the number of devices that were bought were slightly less than 1 million. So that does not even give you 10% of the children who should be reached. Secondly, learning on technology would require access to internet. How many households or how many families have access to internet? Internet, apart from the connectivity, which we are lucky, at least in Nairobi, we have 4G technology. In other places, they could be having 3G or even very archaic technology such as 2G. Now, secondly, the same technology is equally expensive. So if you are to stream the way we are streaming live, what would it mean for these households that have no access to that internet? And secondly, it's expensive. Would a household that is struggling to have food on their table choose between buying bundles for internet, or would they choose to buy food? You and I know the answer. They will have to choose food. And now that even children are in the households, when it was not even planned for. So it will make life extremely complicated for the households. So it is not optimal as thought. And serious indictment to educational planners, because there were possibilities that we could have done a little bit different from what we did. But we didn't seize the moment, we wasted that opportunity, and now these effects have to live with us for a very long time. Yes, people have argued that we can have technologies that can reach, especially the poor, if you talk about radio. But how much learning can happen on radio? It's very little. If you talk about television, it is not interactive. Now you can imagine the difficulties children have in school, even in the presence of the teacher, to learn. So what now happens if you transfer learning to go to the TV, where they cannot ask questions, they cannot raise hands, they cannot ask their friends, they cannot have group discussions? It's not optimal. So I do not think that we have got meaningful learning at this point in time.
Amos, CS Magoha made it very clear that students shall be given time to, in his words, they're going to be given time to learn and make up for the time lost during this COVID. How exactly do you think he's going to make this work?
First of all, we have to agree that when schools resume, they'll go back to where they stopped on 13th of March. You cannot tell us that learning has been taking place, because every child has a fundamental right to learn what they were supposed to learn while in the school. So you cannot say that learning is right now happening. Even if you are to load all these things on the radio, how many lessons can you cover from grade 1 all the way to grade up to Form 4? It is impossible. So we're just having a mechanism of keeping them a little bit busy. Now let's come to the substance of what it means to recover for the lost time. This is not the first time we're having disruptions. We've had disruptions caused by teacher strike. We've had disruptions caused by political turmoils. This is not the first time. And some of them have stretched up to about 8 weeks. And we've seen we're able to recover. Why? Because we're talking about times that are set aside for holiday, such as August. We have got time set aside for what we are calling midterm, which is another 1 week. Remember, first term only lost 1 week because the other 1 week would have been spent doing assessments, and the other 1 week would have been spent in terms of preparing for schools to close. So we cannot say that first term really wasted a lot of time as such. So we're talking about second term. So if you are able to spend up to around July, you're able still to make up time. Why? Because you can postpone doing exams in October and November and stretch them all the way towards the end of November and up to December, because there's nothing cast on stone that exams should be happening in November. There's nothing scientific about it. It's just the way we have acclimatized ourselves maybe in the last 3 years.
Has made it also very clear that the government is not planning to postpone KCSE and KCPE, and this is what teachers and parents are worried about. How do you foresee this playing out?
No, I do not think that is basically putting the cart before the horse, because the Minister of Education has no power over the pandemic. It has no capacity to determine which direction it will take, and in terms of flattening the curve. So I think it's also a little bit too premature to put ourselves on the line and create a lot of anxiety all over the country that exams cannot be postponed. We must be open. What we should now be negotiating or asking ourselves is whether we have the capacity to handle the exams this year or not. And that one, we are saying that up to the end of July, we are in a position still to have national examinations. But otherwise, putting the cart before the horse right now and saying that we cannot postpone exams, it is too premature to make such a conclusion. So the CS should wait, really adopt 3 possible scenarios. What will happen if the situation normalizes by June? The way now we are saying that we can push schools to open in June. Yes, we can shorten the August holiday a little bit, maybe just to 2 weeks. Maybe that one will still allow us room to do exams in November. But if this doesn't happen, that we are stretching and therefore we are even having a worst case scenario, we have got countries that have had to push schools up to next year, because we know that dead people cannot sit for exams. So you cannot also force that in the absence of safety of children, you can't really take them to school. The discussion around safety, we've been discussing it even a few months ago, that safety happens in different dimensions. You have to think of these children also from their psychological safety. These children are not mentally stable. Nobody knows what is going to happen. Our lives are completely disrupted from a 360 perspective. So I think we are supposed to be a little bit sensitive and not just begin speaking that we must. There is no element of must. Government itself has really had to adjust, even in terms of revenue collection, because it's impossible just to expect that life will be normal in the presence of this abnormality. Yeah.
As a parent, I mean, I had the chance of saying hi to your daughter. Thank you so much. As a parent and as an expert in this education sector, what advice would you give to the people out here?
I think the first thing is that what is going to save us at this point in time in terms of flattening the curve is just basic manners, basic hygiene. Simple things that you do not need a PhD for you to survive at this point in time. Wash your hands, stay at home, sanitize, put on a face mask. That is the most fundamental thing. Secondly, we will overcome this pandemic. We must agree to it. We will overcome. So no matter how much we worry, all that we need to do is to listen to the expert advice from the Ministry of Health. And if we pay attention towards saving our own lives, we will flatten the curve and our life will resume a certain level of normalcy. But if we become extremely anxious, we become full of uncertainty and full of emotions and such, it will just complicate matters. So the earlier we settle down, sit back and listen to the expert advice from the relevant government authorities and Ministry of Health, the better for us. So schools come and go. Let us not be too anxious. Dead people don't sit for exams. We know the formula for reviving the economy. We know the formula for accelerating learning where we lost time, but we do not have any formula for bringing back life that has already been lost. So let's be a little bit patient and walk through this pandemic, all of us together. We shall overcome.
Okay, thank you so much, Amos. I really do appreciate.
You're welcome.